So this is just a idea that I had to do an outreach more of something on the internet. I tried to do this a couple years ago. It really didn't pan out very well, but I wanted to get back at it again with this school project. So I have a couple guests with me here today. I'm Vaughn, and I have one guest, Vincent, and another guest, Tom. You probably have seen them around, and they're very wonderful, upstanding gentlemen. Now, today, I would like to just talk about a couple things, just in general, with a lot of stuff that goes on in everyday life. Today's little podcast shall just be on the topic of forgiveness because everybody kind of looks at it many different ways, and that's understandable. We're all different people. But my thing of it is let's kind of just narrow down that thought and see where a lot of people come from, and a lot of people see where they want to go with that. What do you guys think about that?
Can we define forgiveness to start off?
That
Exactly what forgiveness is and what we're talking about?
that would be a good thing to do before we hit the record button, now wouldn't it?
No, I think we should
No.
define for the conversation.
Yes.
Everybody should have an idea of where we're starting, and we should all have a point of starting before continuing. That way, if we ever use the word like forgiveness or something else, no one can take it out of context.
Well, there's always that phrase when you ever talk about forgiveness is you forgive and forget.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's probably taking the good Webster dictionary definition and just really simpling down to nothing. So, which actually is very true. It's a very true statement. It's just to me a little bit too simplified. So, Vincent, what do you think the word forgiveness is?
Well, with forgiveness, there has to be, of course, an apology before it. Someone has to be sorry for what they've done. That means there's something bad to have been done. Forgiveness is usually like the victim or the person who had wrongdoing towards them back to the person who did something wrong and is genuinely sorry for it.
Okay.
That's the basic I can think of an overarching forgiveness.
So when somebody does something to somebody else, the recipient, they apologize, and the other person forgives them because they apologize for their wrongdoing.
Yes.
All right.
It basically completes the apology. If someone can say they're sorry but they're not forgiven, it's one-sided. If the person who forgives, they're basically saying, okay, I've accepted your apology, I believe that you really mean it, and you want to make things right, so I'm going to keep that ball rolling by forgiving you.
Okay. What do you think about it, Tom?
I think forgiveness, I don't think it requires an apology because I think in the same sense of like how Jesus died on the cross for us, that was him forgiving us, and he forgave the whole world, whether or not the whole world accepts that forgiveness or not. Now, actual salvation is accepting that forgiveness, but forgiveness doesn't have to be accepted for it to have been given. I think forgiveness is receiving a wrongdoing, and then recognizing what that wrongdoing was, why it was, although I guess you don't have to know why it was, but rather recognizing it, isolating it, and then saying, regardless of whether that affected me or not, I'm going to move on from what just happened. I'm not going to let it affect me. I think it's taking that wrongdoing and letting it go, I guess.
Right.
Separating it from you, responding to it as opposed to reacting to it. I think that's what forgiveness is, because forgiveness can be for anything, like whether somebody said something to you, whether somebody did something to you, or even to somebody else. You can forgive somebody for doing something to someone else. I think forgiveness even falls in that category. But
Yeah, I
could
would
be wrong.
I would agree with you, and that's actually pretty good analogy, a very truthful analogy
Yeah.
with Christ dying, because I mean we've some of us have never apologized, and some of us that actually believe still probably have never said, oh wow, he did this.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for me basically doing that to him. That's why I kind of think we've had the conversations before in the past, but my example, Good Friday. it's really, if you think about it, it's really all not that good. I get it. It's great.
Yes.
I get it. But at the same time, we did that.
Yeah.
We nailed him on the cross.
Yeah.
We had him go through that torture. That's not great.
Yeah.
What the outcome of what he did was great.
Yes.
But to me,
Not the scenario.
yes. Not to
But
say,
yeah, we're celebrating someone's brutal death
Yeah.
in front of everyone. He was tortured, he has thorns in his head, and now he is straining his lungs to actually breathe on this post, and we say that's
Good.
good.
We could say good Easter, maybe not Good Friday.
I get the fact that like maybe that sadness of what happened and what we did would bring upon maybe tears of joy.
Mhm.
Like he did that for us,
Mhm.
and we can never do that.
Yes.
We could never do that for anybody else that we even love and cherish. Is like I couldn't get up on a cross and like I'm gonna die for Tom to make sure that he's safe and that he'll be forgiven and understood. And I can't do that. I'll never be able to do that. And that in itself is such a good light on a bad scenario.
Mhm.
That's why some ideas with that just kind of it feels kind of funny, but I understand it. I understand it completely. So in that sense of forgiveness, it feels like a lot of people today even were like they demand an apology, and that's why I'm glad you guys did the polar opposites.
Mm-hmm.
They demand an apology, then they'll forgive.
Yes.
Or they'll forgive too much without getting an apology,
Yes.
never getting an apology.
Mhm.
Now, where do you guys think a good balance of that would lie?
I don't think you could ever be in the wrong for forgiving, but I do think it would be something along the lines of tragic if you were never apologized to.
With your whole life, no one ever said
No one
sorry.
ever said sorry. You said, "Oh, you know what? I forgive you," and they just thought I did nothing wrong. That would be pretty sad. But
That's
but-
Christ in general.
Yes, exactly.
That's sad.
But
It's a
it,
tragic story.
but I would say like a completed sense of a wrongdoing, yes, would be forgiving and then also receiving an apology. I think the two people coming together to work that out like really completes a wrongdoing, so that it's like forgiven and I guess forgotten as well. But if they're honest in their forgiving and in their apology, there's we all know that there exists. I forgive you, but not really, and
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry, but not really. Yeah, I think apologies aren't necessary for forgiveness, but like they certainly help the process of moving on from a wrongdoing. I think that's a balance.
Yes.
Yep.
Just say you're sorry and just mean it.
Yes.
It boggles my mind.
Very.
Like, I'm
salty,
sorry for not
sarcastic.
being sorry towards you.
Yes.
I'm sorry that I'm not sorry.
But what do you think? What do you think a good balance lies with forgiveness and maybe hearing an apology or getting some kind of remorse from a person?
I would like to put in one extra side note though before I answer that. That bringing off that some people will apologize but not really mean it. There's also those kinds of people that will give out of forgiveness. So like, I forgive you for what you've done, even if you don't actually say you're sorry. I forgive you, but that can be like kind of snarky. It's like, yeah, I forgive you
Yes.
for what you've done to me.
Almost
But you don't
official.
even have to apologize.
Yes.
I've forgiven you, and in that kind of sense, that's not real forgiveness either, because it's not being forgotten.
Mhm.
That's basically saying, I've forgiven you, and that person may not even acknowledge that they've done something wrong. It's kind of very bitter. It's very bitter, and that's not. It's like holding a grudge with the lie of saying that you've forgiven somebody. It's like, I know you've done something wrong to me, and I have a grudge against you. I've forgiven you out front. But on the inside, I'm still going to remember what you've done to me. That way, if there's a situation and you come back, I'm going to hate you on the inside, but I've forgotten you on the outside. And that's kind of like an inside poison compared to like holding a grudge and just being angry in general. It's a lie, and underneath is anger. And that can be even worse because you're like burying it deep inside you. If anger's out front, you're venting it. It can be
Mhm.
that can be good if you vented it and it's gone. At that point, maybe even once the anger's gone and you've like said your problem with the situation and it's over, then forgiveness can actually mean
Yeah, the
something.
air is cleared.
Yeah, there is no lie because you've been very honest in saying, "Well, you've done something wrong to me. Why don't you apologize? I am willing to forgive you. Why don't you say something?" And if they say no, then you're like, "Well, I don't know if I can forgive you, but I want to try." Because now that the event is over, now the anger is kind of relieved, and the guy knows that you were angry. Forgiveness can be it's a lot more impactful than me saying, "Oh, I forgive you for what you've done," and then walk away with the anger still inside.
I've personally have been in those situations where like I've tried and tried to forgive people or somebody. We've probably all been there, whether it be family members, best friends. People hurt people, no matter how close you are, no matter how not close you are. Someone's going to hurt you, and it hurts the most when it's somebody that you really really care about,
Yeah.
and in that inner circle or your family or whatever. It hurts the most. But when you can come to terms with yourself, like you said, Vincent, you come to terms with yourself when on the inside you can say, I truly forgive this person even though they never said anything to me. And on the outside you're showing that as well. But the thing of it is, what if no one is around or available at all to receive that forgiveness? Say like you're having a conversation online with somebody and they said something rude and snarky to you and you're like, oh, that really hurt, and you told them, hey man, that really hurt, blah blah blah. They're like, just let it go, whatever.
It's the internet.
Yeah, or no, like this is a friend of yours. This is a friend of yours, and on your side of the screen, you're like, oh well, I mean, it was silly, and I can let it go. I forgive him. It's fine. But you're not telling them that.
Yeah.
You're saying that for yourself, because you can hold on to anger and content, like you said, and just be like, oh, I'm trying to forgive them. I'm trying to forgive them. No matter how much they've hurt me, I'm trying to forgive them, even though they're not seeing me forgive them, and you feel like if they don't see me forgive them, they're not gonna feel remorse about it. Just it happens a lot. You could say with I guess you could say kids in broken homes where they've got to go to dad's house, they got to go to mom's house for this, and then mom's that, and they're flopping back and forth, and they're like, I don't like my parents. My parents either are arguing at each other because they're not in the same house anymore, and blah blah blah, and they're bouncing me around. It's like when are they going to realize that I'm me and I'm going to be here in my life? And then that, or you can be an adult at that point. Like I'm living my own life, and I'm not worried about what mom's doing over there, and I'm not worried about what dad's doing over there. How do you handle that situation, where you've got both parents in two different places. One may be acting crazy and sporadic, and the other one may be acting less crazy and sporadic, but mostly there for you. Where you're like, okay, well, dad's helped me out all this time, but mom's acting crazy and not doing anything, or even vice versa. And I'm not trying to single anyone out, so it's hard. Like you don't want to seem like you're picking sides because you're the child in it, and you're like, mom's always been there, or dad's always been there, and the opposite over here, and they've just been there, but they've never been here. And how do you be like, well, I want to forgive them. I want to forgive them, and I don't want to hold on to this anger and stuff like that. I may not always want to be around them. I may not always want my friends around them, my family, my kids when I have them or whatever. Me personally, I don't know. I don't maybe not want that for just the best for my well-being, but I still in my heart know that I forgive them. They are before Christ. I have gone before Christ and said, I forgive this person. They don't know this. They don't understand this. But me and you, Christ, we're on the same line, and we're saying that's all in the past. And I think that kind of goes into a whole different conversation of discernment and judging.
Yes.
I would say so, which we could talk about at a different time.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think about what I was saying? Just like especially a lot of kids that come from broken places like that, or they have that best friend where like they really hurt them really hard, and there was still no change, and they're reaching out, and their best friend is like, oh well, you're always there, so I can treat you like this because I know that you'll always forgive me and you'll keep coming back. I don't mean to, but yeah, it just happens, whatever. Because there's plenty of people that we probably don't see that we should be seeing. Plenty of friends that we talk to, we don't talk to. It's like, man, I need to talk to that guy, or need to see that guy. I hope he doesn't hate me or anything like that. But what do you guys think about it? Vincent, you go ahead with this one first.
I need to gather my thoughts. That's a lot. That's a lot to process and not regurgitate, but rather process and
You're gonna sponge it.
and definitely dwell on it for a second. Does anyone?
I do have a response. Yes.
Go ahead.
Give me a second.
So, with someone that you are in contact with, it is easy to, be in many scenarios wherein you can there is clarity between the two people that something happened and that there is forgiveness between the two. Like, that's easy. But when someone's not there, I almost wanted to say, like, a sincere letter, phone call, or quick meetup could clear that. But at the same time, if you don't know that both parties are on the same page, that a wrongdoing has happened, then that could incite that could incite a whole other problem. Like if somebody did something wrong to me or whatever, and I forgave them, and they didn't know I forgave them, and I went up to them and I said, you know what, man, you did this, that, and the next, but I totally forgive you, and they didn't think that this, that, or the next was wrong, then they it would come off as like I'm being like, I'm taking the high road, like on my high horse, like, yes, I know, I forgive you for whatever it is you've done. If they don't
Jordan
think,
was saying.
yes, if they don't think they had done something wrong. So, so that's what I was about to say, but then I realized that that's not the case. So were that the case, were you not 100% sure that between you and that other person, that you're on the same page, something was wrong, that something wrong happened, then I would say, what you should do would be to, in your heart, reconcile and say, hey, I forgive this person, I recognize what they did, maybe they didn't, but I do, I forgive them, and treat them accordingly, as like whenever you do interact with that person, they're like as if nothing happened, okay, we're on this, everything's cool, and were something to happen again in the moment, that where you could most definitely determine something wrong happened here, then you could say, you know what, man, I forgive you, and clarify that forgiveness was there, because as much as it is important for somebody to realize that they're forgiven, maybe sometimes they don't even think something needed forgiveness, and it could come off the wrong way were you to do that. So I mean, some people can take it. I think it's very heavily dependent on somebody's capacity. If somebody went up to me and just forgave me for something, then I could I could handle the concept of I must have done something wrong. What did I do? Even if I'm maybe a little upset about it, what did I do? I could handle the idea of them explaining what I did wrong, how it came off the wrong way, or this, that, or the next. But not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
Some people that sets up the wrong thing, and it creates a whole different problem. But
Yeah, I like that you said that at the end. There was just someone comes to me, I forgive you what you did. My first reaction would be, oh my God, what did I do? I'm so sorry.
Yes.
You don't have to tell me what happened. I'm just
forgiving you
quickly.
for forgiving you.
Yeah.
I'm forgiving. I forgive you.
It's just that this just, yes, addressing capacity is a perfect way to put that. And how you say things and when you say things, that's such a huge deal to people. Which makes sense. It's just you don't want to come off like Vincent said, you don't want to come off you don't come off sounding oh well, I forgive you, and you don't want to come off very on the other extreme side. Well, I forgive you. You hurt me so bad. Just
Like goody two shoes.
yeah, but you want to find that good area of forgiveness
Yeah.
and conversation and remorse. It's hard. It's very difficult. But I like that you put it that way where even if they're not there or they're not around and next time you see them or even saying hey or emailing them or writing a letter or texting them it's like
Right.
hey we have so many avenues now. I wanna tell you that this hurt me and we can talk about it, but we don't have to talk about it because it's already gone. It's in the
Yeah.
past. I love you. It's over. Yeah, all the forgiveness all around.
Yes.
Forgiveness, mercy, grace, everything
Mm-hmm.
is expounded upon you. So we can just move on from this, but it's that's also another hard place to find things because
Definitely.
you could be trying to really like I love this person and I need to forgive this person because they're probably sorry. They haven't said it to me. Maybe they're not there yet. Or and we can't and their capacity's not there to have me go to them first. And sometimes you just have to be very much the bigger man in the picture. It's like they probably don't mean what they mean and and I have to just let it go and forgive them. But that also again leads back into you have to discern where is that the place to do so. But after hearing Tom's side, what do you think, Vincent?
Well, I thought of kind of like a new point, but brings about around. What about people who like they've done something wrong to you, and it's really hard to forgive them personally. Like, say someone did something horrible to you over and over and over, and they take your forgiveness, like your open well of forgiveness, for granted. And then at some point, even though everyone deserves forgiveness. Like no matter what they've done, everyone deserves a level of forgiveness. If they've done something horribly wrong and they're not sorry for it, you can forgive them. But whether or not they're going to ask for forgiveness themselves, that's up to them. But sometimes it's really hard to reach across and say, or even just give them that first initial forgiveness, or even like say to yourself that I forgive them. Like if someone's really hurt you, like so hard, and that's like almost like an impossible task. Like if someone has done something absolutely horrible to you, like say they ruined your life in some insert act here. Can you actually forgive them? I mean, for someone like say Christ, it must have been really hard on that cross to forgive every single sin that's ever been done to him and to anyone else. He had to do that. But he's a benevolent being. We're just human. How can we, if someone say took my wife from me, how can I forgive them? How can I? Unless say you could say if God has forgiven me, then I should be able to give out forgiveness because I have the ultimate forgiveness. Maybe I can give that too. But because we are human, it can be really hard to actually do that. There are people I know that I have forced myself in some regard to forgive them because I know they deserve it, even if they don't acknowledge it. Because I want to be on better terms personally to them, even if they don't think anything of it. If I believe that, oh, this person's ruining their life and in the process has hurt my life, I want to forgive them because I know that God has. So I'll try. But have I really? Do I really believe that I personally have given that person the absolute forgiveness that they believe that they need? Forgiveness and then forget about what they've done, especially if they do it again. How can
I love the fact that you said this, that we're just humans that try to forgive, but God is a benevolent king that did all that and still forgave us. I literally just had a conversation with someone and I said those exact things. Who am I not to give out forgiveness to anybody, a murderer, even extreme case, a rapist or whatever.
Both of those are pretty bad.
Both of those,
Yeah.
both of those are pretty bad,
Yeah.
but in jail, the murderers will kill the rapists.
Yes.
But that's a different
That's
topic.
besides the point.
But it's like I can still forgive that person, but still I don't have to be anywhere near that person. I don't need to go out of my way for that person.
Yeah.
I don't have to.
Yes.
I feel like forgiveness to a point is a necessity because God forgave that. Why can't I forgive that?
Yes.
He died for that. I'm just living.
Mm.
That's the even. Well,
That's
he
the
died
crux-
and came
crux-
back.
That's the crux of the matter.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And it's just funny to me how people just want to be like, oh well, you hurt me really bad, but I forgive you. Fingers crossed.
Yes.
And I'm moving on with my life. Stay away from me, or you come near me, I'm gonna kill you. I don't like that. That has
That's not
malice.
forgiveness at all.
But yeah, that's not forgiveness.
That's lying to yourself that you've forgiven, and then to them as well.
It's like this new age forgiveness where I forgive you, but I'm still I still have anger for you.
Then it's
What?
not forgiven.
Yeah. And it's just like, and I don't want to say the phrase just because it's just been beaten to death, but you have to forgive and you have to forget.
Yeah.
Now, you can forget and move on with your life, but that doesn't mean that they're not a human being. They don't have sin anymore,
Yes.
which I believe you stated before in
Yes.
the other conversation that we may have had. And it's just so funny to me. Just like some people go around, well, I forgive them. They're God again. Oh, they hurt me.
Yes.
They're not God anymore. Oh, they're God again. They're
Yes.
no. They're still human. They will be human until the day that they're not human.
Absolutely.
That's the best way to put it.
Mhm.
And it's just I find that very, very funny. And I do believe no matter how much a person may hurt you personally, whether it be physically, mentally, spiritually, you still should forgive them. But you do have the right to remove yourself from them. that doesn't mean, oh, they come up to you and say, hey, I would just like to ask your opinion on this, and you go, oh no, I forgave you,
yeah.
get away from me. No, we're done now. It's
Yeah.
like, what? No. I understand a lot of pain and suffering comes from this world, and a lot of it comes from, some of it comes from the people nearest to us.
Yes.
But it goes with what I've heard before, that don't worry about how I've sinned. Just if you're gonna think about that, worry about when I'll sin next, because that's all that matters. Because I'm going to sin again.
Yes.
That's the only part that matters. Whether how I sinned just now, okay, great. Let's move on from that. Let's move on to the next sin. Like, if we can get ahead on sins, like here, like, look, if we take out a list, I did this just now. Okay, cool. But all right, I'm probably gonna do this next week. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna write that down. All right, get the forgiveness ready for that. Let's start doing that. I understand that's
A
very
little over the top.
yeah. But,
How many times should I forgive my brother?
Yeah.
7 times?
70 times 7.
Seven.
Well,
You-
let me count those 70 times 7.
Yeah.
Hold on.
You can only forgive your brother.
490 times.
Yes, that's it. That's
'Cause
all you get.
After that, no, they've overused your
Yes.
forgiveness.
And I have to say, we've been friends a very long time, Tom and Vincent.
I think
you
I'm
guys,
out.
yeah,
I think I'm
you guys have gone over that limit.
Oh, man. No more forgiveness for me.
From this day on, just no more forgiveness. I'm just gonna pretend like it doesn't matter.
Why'd you steal all my forgiveness from Vaughn, Vincent? Jeez.
Well, it's individual people. He has 490 per person.
Oh, is that how? Oh, okay.
I don't know. He may have taken a couple of
Let
yours.
me recalculate my math. Hold on.
Pull out the abacus. But
Like everyone has like a forgiveness check marker. It's like, okay, he forgave me once.
Yes. The new app. There's an app for that.
A forgiveness
A
app.
forgiveness app. Count exactly how many times you forgave that person.
Oh man, I only have 3 more times. I better not do anything bad to this guy. And he comes up to you, I forgive you.
No! Only 2 more options.
I can only do 2 more bad things. What are they?
You're already yelling at them like, please stop forgiving me. It's okay, I forgive you for yelling at me just now. Dang it!
And what happens when you run out? There's like an alarm going off. They're coming for me. So now you just reset the thing.
Oh. Did you power it on and off?
Yeah.
No, it still says that we're all doomed.
But
You doomed us all.
Yeah.
I really do love how like you guys are pointing out things that I've said to people over the years, or I've had arguments and
Yes.
debates about them. It's
Yes.
like without even having prior discussion really about this, it's you're pointing out everything. So I feel better about myself
Yeah,
on
no.
how I feel about it
Yes.
already. It's the truth of the root of the matter.
You guys said something and I wanted to comment on it, but I forgot because of that whole
Doom! You have doomed us all.
This particular portion can be edited out, but what was the last thing you said just before we?
I was stating that a lot of people will kind of have that pretend forgiveness that Vincent was saying, that the fact that you can lost my train of thought too. Wow.
I'm sorry.
Thanks a lot, Billy.
You know what? Actually, I think I remember. It was about forgiving and forgetting.
Yes.
So, which we had talked about this previously. It's like the term forgive and forget is it can seem almost
Negative.
no, not negative, but maybe hypocritical or paradoxical, because how do we forget something that someone did? You know, if somebody has a particular behavior, you know, that you recognize, can you really forget? You know, you see that person, you know what they've done before, you forgive them and you quote unquote forget, but can you really, were you to really actually remove that from your mind, not be susceptible to something that they could maybe do in the future according to that behavior? That's where, sometimes that's maybe a reason somebody would say, oh, I don't want to forget. I'll forgive them, but I won't forget. Because, that would be irresponsible or,
I'll never forget what they did to me.
Yeah, exactly. Which like ties into like a concept of forgiveness that I think would be like pretty important to address is the idea that not everybody has to accept, but I think is important to understand. I think the Bible approaches this in a way that you're new every day. You're a new person every day. There was a message that I heard a while ago about being anointed every morning or whatever. I'm not the person I was yesterday. Literally, I'm a different person. Even like physically, we have like a completely different set of bones every 7 years or something like that. Because
sounds about right.
It's like a seventh, in a year, a seventh of your bone is like remade.
Don't worry, facts on this podcast is not always, it's not needed. You can just throw out any number and we got you.
I think it's a cool analogy.
Google says.
Yes. I think it's a cool analogy how we actually physically are not the way we were yesterday, as well as spiritually. Like, my behavior, the way I was yesterday, is by God, completely forgiven and forgotten. I'm a new person. At any point in time, I could totally 180 and turn around and go a different way. But that's not always going to happen, and sometimes it doesn't happen. There are people who do continue in their behaviors, even if it is forgiven and forgotten. But that behavior starts at the beginning of the day. Like, who I am starts at that day. Like, this is who I am now, I mean, that is a little simplified. I guess you could say at halfway through the day, I make a decision and I turn around, It doesn't have to be at the beginning of the day. But in that respect, when I forgive somebody and I forget, I say, at this point in time, I am forgetting that person did that thing. Tomorrow, I cannot say for sure because of what they did yesterday that they will continue in that way. But it would be irresponsible to say, I have no idea what they will do. Because behaviors in human nature it's very important to understand. We do learn from our history, from our past. Like, the Bible is actually important because we haven't forgotten, the sins of the past. But but it's important to realize that I forgive and I forget in a sense that like I totally forget like that moment in time. It doesn't exist anymore. You know,
Right.
I'm not that person I was. He's not that, or he or she is not that person they were anymore. You know, like that's forgotten. This new day, I can use what I know about that person to maybe be wary of my approach for a person. But I should always recognize that that person is a new person.
Yes.
Regardless of what they did yesterday, today could be completely different. Even if it's not, even if it doesn't end up that way. You know, we could talk about odds and stuff like that all the time, but like, you know, God knows, and it's like you know, it's like a, you know, the way God treats a person, I should look to that as
Yes.
my like example for how I treat a person. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I always get into this debate as well with somebody that I feel like it's always been misconstrued all this time, but I've kind of simplified it down to this, where going on a legal precedent right now, where if you do some kind of heinous crime, you get thrown on a list.
Yeah.
A list that anybody can Google, anybody can look up. Now, I don't like that. I don't like the practice of that.
Yeah.
But I understand why it's there.
Yes.
For people to be wary and stuff like that and kind of discern whether they need to do it. But a lot of people have taken that and turned it into judgment.
Yes.
There's not discernment much anymore. There's a lot of judgment. That's the part why I don't like this list.
Yes.
Now, like I said, I understand why it's there. I get it. I do. I wish, and I don't have any other idea, but I wish it didn't exist
Yes.
because that kind of takes out the idea of
Forgiveness.
forgiving and forgetting.
Yes.
Because you see that same person, it's like, oh my gosh, they're on the list. Oh well, I have to do this and that, and you're not discerning what you're gonna do. You're judging about it, and you're not treating that person as if they're in a new light. You're just treating that person like, oh, well, they have that history, so they can go back to it again. Well, of course, you can go back and do the stupid thing that you did 5 minutes ago
Yes,
again.
exactly.
That doesn't make you any worse or any better. It just means that he did this. And if he made a connection with God and had forgiveness with God and forgave himself for what he did,
Yeah.
that's very possible. Now, science has stated that that person may, more of those people have turned right back around and done the same stupid thing again. Okay, but does the exception prove the rule?
No.
Exactly. So, that to me still doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Like I said, I get it. I
Yeah.
just don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wish there was another way to state those kind of things without throwing out people's dirty laundry or anything of that nature, and taking another step back. That I actually just remembered my first point, where I can't remember who said it. It was either Ben Carson or Cuba Gooding Jr. Where when they really came into fame or whatever they're in or
Yes.
whatever have you, they had a lot of father issues.
Yes.
And they still decided to take care of their father. He was never in the picture. Now at this point in their career, they one of them is taking care of their father, respecting their father, not talking to them more than they need to, not giving them any more than what they need and stuff like that, not babying them or acting like a dog and be like, oh well, yeah, he's gonna change now. Oh, and then get smacked down. No, they're just simply just respecting them. That's where I think needs to come in after the forgiving, the forgetting, and the remorse. Is respect. If we just had baseline respect for people, everything would be slightly better. because respecting the person means that they are a human being, they have a life, and they have thoughts and ideas and opinions. You can take that too far, you can not take it far enough. I get that. But at the same time, you need to understand that this person was put there for a reason, especially your parents. The people take it back even further. The 10 Commandments is like you honor thy mother and thy father. You can do that without being around your so-called hated parent, or the be horrible case scenario, or being around that parent that really hurt you or whatever. You can do that. You can still respect them. You can still forgive them. whether you want to keep being around them or anything of that nature, and they don't understand that.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
you've tried to have conversations with them, and then you have on the other side the person that's always been there and being like, well, why do you keep trying to help them? Blah, blah. It's like, because I respect you, not the fact that you are here, you took care of me, or anything of that nature. I respect you because you're my mom or dad, and you have raised me. I respect them because they're my mom or dad, and I wouldn't be here without both of you.
Exactly.
So that baseline of respect goes out to both sides, no matter what they did. For me to move on with my life and understand better and grow up in this world, for now, we have to respect both sides. We have to. I feel that way. I feel that way being in different scenarios and seeing people be in different scenarios like that. It's hard. It's hard. You want to remove yourself from darkness, but at the same time, it's also you gotta have a good light about where that person may be.
Yeah.
You may have gone and lived with your dad or your mom and been like, oh well, that was a horrible situation. Let me go back to where I'm from, be back with the person that was always there for me and here for me, and just say, if you want to be there, that's fine. That's your choice. I respect that. You are there. I am here. That's it. There's no animosity. There should be no animosity, no anger, no anything of that. Just understanding that I was hurt. It's over. I forgive them. It's just them and God now. That's it.
That's as close as I think we can get to forgiving and forgetting.
Yeah.
Respect is like kind of like the best way of saying that.
But then I don't understand when people say, well, they have to earn my respect or they have to do this and that. That's true too. But there should be a baseline of respect for human beings. Now, people should still earn respect. Like, you don't go to a guy's like, guess what I just did yesterday, and you're throwing out all your dirty laundry. I wouldn't do that to a total stranger, but you would do that with someone like your best friend or a family member that you respect.
Yes.
And sometimes, and a lot of times, especially nowadays, your own close-knit group of friends, you probably respect them a little bit more than your own family members because you can talk to them and they're on the same page as you. You both can relate, break and bend off each other and sharpen each other better than you can with your parents or your other family members, whatever have you. And it just seems like nowadays that seems like it's almost a bad thing, but like, again, that's the topic for another time.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that forgiveness is a very hard thing to do and to receive, no matter what the situation may be. I feel like, and because you gotta find the right way to say it, right way to think it, right way to do it, stuff like that. It's hard, but at the same time, can be very easy, very very easy.
It could be as simple as a flip the switch,
Yeah.
like in your soul. Just
I forgive y'all.
But I
Y'all
like.
still going there though, but I forgive y'all. Bless their hearts.
I actually heard a quote like that. It was just like, well, I mean, that's fine. I mean, you're the one going to hell. Like, no, let's not say that. Let's
No.
not say that. No. Let's never ever say that. Let's try not to think it either. Because if you think it, most likely will come out. But in closing thoughts to this half knitted wonderful conversation, what do you guys think about the a topic that we have discussed today?
All right. So, forgiveness is just about a necessity when it comes to relating with other human beings.
As well as ourselves.
Including ourselves. We can't deal with ourselves if we can't forgive ourselves. And with forgiveness, there can be change. Because if there is no forgiveness, if there is no apology, there is no adherence to or acknowledgement that there's something wrong happening here, that something wrong happened and it needs to change. If no one says anything about it, then it will continue. But with an apology, first step, forgiveness, second step, and then respect for our fellow human beings, then there can be change. Positive or negative, whichever, there can be change for what happens. Of course, we do need a standard for what to forgive on, but us as Christians having, 10 commandments, God's rule of saying do unto those as you would want to do unto yourself, and to love Him. It shouldn't be that hard to figure out, okay, here's our basis, and if someone violates that standard, they should be like punished to some extent, but our forgiveness should be like that first step in the change. If that change is their personal punishment, we are not to be a part of that. Even if they did something wrong to us, society, God Himself will take care of the just dues, whatever is there. We are not to be there to judge. We are not to be there to say, oh, it is our job to make sure this person, since they did something wrong to us, we are to do something wrong to them. No, because that's hypocritical. If we want them to do something good to us, we should do good to them. But if we do something bad to them, how can we expect good from them? We can't. So apology, even if it's not there or not, forgiveness is like an overarching for both, and respect as like the clincher.
Right. Tom, what do you think?
I think for those who are listening, if you don't believe in forgiveness, then you actually have all the right to do that. You can very, very well live by the law of the jungle, which, is an eye and an eye and a tooth for a tooth, just desserts and the like, revenge and so on. But, we feel like that's just no way to live life. God forgave you. The least you can do is forgive your brother. And that's not perfectly like a natural thing. I think forgiveness comes from God. I think, we get our ability to forgive from God, but
Very much so.
like Vincent said, it's not our place to judge. We as Christians believe that, God, who has the right to judge, actually gave that right to judge to Jesus. And Jesus said, I'll take the blame, which is just like mind-boggling. Like, Jesus is the only one with the right to judge, and not even He judged us, Or, eventually for those who have, salvation, that is our judgment, that, that we don't get it. Like, Jesus did that for us. Those who don't, well, they will be judged eventually.
As sad as it is.
As sad as that is. But that all to say, Jesus is the one who has that power, and He chose to die on the cross instead. So, we're not dying on the cross when we forgive people. I mean, we do in a way, we do die to ourselves. Like we give up like something, a part of ourselves for someone else, which is, I guess you could consider that a way of dying. But we're not dying for everybody's sins, we're not, covering for anybody else's wrongdoings. We're simply doing to others what, giving to others what God has given us, which is like, what I think is the best way to live life. But, I could be wrong.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you both. Whatever your names may be.
Whatever our names may be.
So I mean, I think that's a good place to stop right here, right now. If you guys have any other things to say, all right. So yeah, we're gonna try to be doing this every once a week, and maybe hopefully if it takes off, we'll do it even more in the future, which would be great. Like I said, we tried it out before, it didn't really go anywhere, but we're gonna try it, stick to it this time, and hopefully grow with you guys as well as grow as ourselves. So it might be a rotating cast a couple weeks or everything. So just say hello when you talk to Vincent or Tom or anything like that. They're wonderful, smart gentlemen. And like I said, listen up. You have any comments, questions, just write them down below and let us know what you guys think. All right.
Animatic by Vincent.
All right.
Peace, Middle East, rest Midwest.
All right. There's that.
Brought to you